Everyone. Today we have a reading lesson. Last time we started with the story Two Bad Ants, and we said that there was a scout of ants, a group of ants, when they came up with a discovery, which was a shiny crystal. That was an amazing discovery for all of them. They discovered something new. Who liked this discovery? The mother ant. She really liked the taste of the crystal, the shiny crystal, and she was very happy. And because all the ants liked their mother ant so much, they wanted her to be more happy, so they went back outside again to get her more crystals. Now the journey for them to get the crystal wasn't easy. It was hard and difficult. They faced so many struggles. They faced a hungry, a spider, wind, fireflies. Now let's continue to see what happened to the scout of ants while they went to the journey to get the shiny crystal. I want all of you to open page 474, the textbook, and we'll start. At the edge of the forest stood a mountain. The ants looked up and could not see its peak. It seems to reach right to the heavens. But they didn't stop. Up the side they climbed higher and higher. The wind whistled through the cracks of the mountain's face. The ants could feel its force bending their delicate antennae. Their legs grew weak as they struggled upward. At last they reached a ledge and crawled through a narrow tunnel. Now, what happened? They were going through the forest, inside the forest, and they found a mountain. The ants looked up to see its peak. You know what's the peak of the mountain? That highest point in the mountain. But what happened? They couldn't see the peak of the mountain, but they didn't stop. Now they kept on climbing high and high on the mountain. The wind whistled through the cracks of the mountain face. You know what's the wind? It was very windy. You keep hearing the voice of the wind like whistling through the cracks. Look at the cracks of the mountain. What happened? Of course, the wind is so dangerous. What happened to the ants? They felt like they are so weak. They cannot walk. They cannot move. And the force of the wind, because the wind is so strong, it could bend. You know what? Bend to turn it down or up, like to bend the antennae of the ant. And of course, their legs become so weak they cannot move, they cannot climb the mountain again. At last, they reached the ledge and crawled through a narrow tunnel. At last, they reached an end to the mountain, and they crawled like the baby. They keep crawling using their 6 feet through the narrow tunnel. It was narrow. It was tight. They couldn't move. It's very narrow. Now let's turn the page. When the ants came out of the tunnel, they found themselves in a strange world. Smells they had known all their lives. Smells of dirt and grass and rotting plant had vanished. There was no more wind, and most puzzling of all, it seemed that the sky was gone. They crossed smooth, shiny surfaces, then followed the scout up a glassy, curved wall. They had reached their goal finally. From the top of the wall, they looked below to a sea of crystals. One by one, the ants climbed down into the sparkling treasure. Finally, the ants came out from the tunnel. From the tunnel, they found themselves in a strange world, like strange world, a word that they never knew before. What's the word? They finally stopped smelling the dirt and the mud, the smells of the grass and the rotting plants, the dead plants. It's all gone. They no longer smell this because they have been walking a long time, and they could smell all of this bad smell, the dirt and the grass and the rotting plants. And now there was no more wind. The wind has vanished. Like they could not hear any wind. I could not feel any wind. It seems that they cannot also see the sky. What happened? They crossed smooth, shiny surfaces. You know the surfaces? These are the shiny surfaces, like of the window. They are shiny. They are surfaces and they are shiny. So it seems that they had long journey, yes? And finally, they reached their goal. They reached the place where they want to go. From the top of the wall, they looked below and they finally found the sea of crystals. What's a sea of crystals? A lot of crystals. So now each one of the ants, they took come take one crystal and they will go, because here we say it's sparkling treasure because treasure for them, the crystals or the shiny crystals that they're looking for to eat, it's treasure. It's something they like so much. So finally they are there, and one by one ant, it took one crystal and they started to go back through their journey. Look, watch here. Each ant took one crystal, carried one crystal, and they are going back. This is the sea of crystals. Can you see how many crystals they found? It seems that the crystal are put inside what? Inside a jar. Look, it's the opening of the jar. Quickly, they each chose a crystal, then turned to start the journey home. Now they are going back home. There was something about the unnatural place that made the ants nervous. In fact, they left in such a hurry that none of them noticed two small ants who stayed behind. Why go back? One asked the other. This place may not feel like home, but look at all these crystals. You're right, said the other. We can stay here and eat this tasty treasure every day, forever. So the two ants ate crystal after crystal until they were too full. They were too full to move and fell asleep. Now, what happened here? We said the scout of ants finally each one took one crystal and they are going back home to give it to the mother ant. And what happened here? They feel worried because this is not their place. The ants, they don't live here. So finally, they wanted to take the crystals quickly and go back home. They were in a hurry. No one realized that two ants of them stayed in this place and didn't go home with them. You know why? One of the ants told the other, why we go back? We can stay here in this treasure and eat it every day and we will feel happy. And there's nothing better than this. This is a treasure we found and we should stay here forever. So they kept eating. The two ants kept on eating the crystal one by one, one after the other, until they finally feel full. They cannot eat anymore. They feel full. They are not more anymore hungry, and they fell asleep.